You're listening to Twonkhammer Entertainment's The Bandhammer Podcast. This episode of The Bandhammer is being recorded on Sunday, April 14th, 2013. What's up, everybody? Welcome to The Bandhammer. I am your host, Sam. Joining me today, we got Road. What's up, Road?
Hey, I'm here.
And Dan's here. What's going on, Dan?
We're live.
We are live. And last but not least, welcoming back Tom. Welcome back, Tom.
Thank you very much.
We missed you around here. We missed our resident Brit.
I missed you guys too.
Oh. So I just got to give myself some props here because I just did the whole Bandhammer opening thing in one shot, which everybody knows it normally takes me about 9 times. Especially if you're on the show, or especially if you guys are listening to me try to do it after we record the episode. So we got a lot going on today. We are live again, so if you are unfortunately one of the ones not listening to this episode live, it looks like we are going to try to push for every Sunday at noon Eastern time, doing a live broadcast of the Bandhammer on our Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv/Twonkhammer. So if you want to join us live, go check it out. If you are here live and talking in the chat, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us. We are excited because today we're talking to Dave Belcher. Yeah, see, I said it right. Dave Belcher for the from Forsaken Studios, talking about Embers of Caerus, but we'll get to that in a little bit. So starting us off, if you want to learn more information about this podcast, check us out at www.twonkhammer.com or check out our many social networks, twitter.com/Twonkhammer, facebook.com/Twonkhammer, youtube.com/TwonkhammerENT. Hate, rate, and subscribe on iTunes, and you can also catch us on Stitcher. Thank you to those of you who go and do that. Those ratings are very important to us. Gets our name out there some more. By the way, if you're not listening to the podcast live and you're on iTunes or some other way, we're also going to be putting this up on YouTube from now on as well. So you'll be able to check us out on YouTube and everywhere. So we're going to be flooding the networks, I guess you could say. So what we play this week? I'm going to start with Tom. Tom, what have you been playing, man?
I've been mainly playing Star Wars: The Old Republic with the new McKeb expansion, which is pretty good actually. It's really good. It's a big step in the right direction. But you know, I've been doing D&D stuff like that, Football Manager, you know, the usual stuff that I normally do. I've actually been going through LA Noire because I had it for the 360 and then I got it in the one of the sales, you know, and I figured, well, I never really finished playing all the way through this, so I figured I'd do that. So that's what I'm pretty much doing at the moment, just going through a load of games on Steam and trying to complete them. I've got way too many games on Steam that I haven't completed, and I don't like that.
You're going to try to complete games?
I'm going to try and complete games, yeah.
Oh, good luck, sir. Good luck. Anything else, or is that it?
I think that's pretty much it, really. I've actually been going to football matches, actual proper football matches, and we're now in the playoffs to get promotion. So,
and what team are you? What is it called? That team.
I support Newport County, and they're in the conference. They are currently in the play. Well, they're going to be in the playoffs. The season hasn't ended yet. And once you basically, all know what playoffs are, don't you?
Yeah.
And then you go to the final, which is at Wembley, which is in London, which will be good fun if we get there.
Oh, I know. You guys call them the club, right?
Well, we call them football clubs, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Just want to make sure. I don't want anybody ripping me apart about the terminology because, when I call it soccer and you guys call it football, That's cool. That's cool. Glad you're enjoying your unfortunate time off, but, Road, what have you been playing?
Oh, wow. Let's see. McKeb. I've also been hammering away at that, so it's a lot of fun. Aside from Star Wars stuff, Don't Starve, Darksiders, which I'm ready to throw out the window, Soulforge, made my If you listen to TSOcast, I've actually made the character I talked about in Skyrim, and Sam watched. He got to watch me get naked.
Yes.
That's disturbing all in itself.
That was awesome. You should have been there. Aside from that, I don't really know there's a whole lot. Yeah, there wasn't. That's it. I'm done. Battlefield. There you go. That's it.
Dan, what have you been playing?
I haven't had much time, but the time I have had, I've gone back and played some Batman Arkham Asylum, which I can play surprisingly well with the G13, which I'm ecstatic about. Finished up playing Evoland this week and wrote that review. I've also gone back in preparation for Tales of Zilla. Started playing Tales of Graces F again.
Now, is that Zilla or Zia?
I think it's Zilla. I think it's Zilla. I can't be certain with that, but I think it's Zilla.
That's the argument my fiance and I get in all the time because, you know, I say llama. She's like, no, it's llama. It's a Hispanic word. And I say, no, it's llama. I'm like, you know, she was like, well, what's Pancho Villa's name? I'm like, Pancho Villa. Random nerd battle with the fiance. You know what I'm talking about. Don't hate. What else we got here? I don't know. Am I missing anything? What are we missing? We might as well just
Our other hosts.
Oh yeah. What else have I been playing? God, whatever. Don't Starve. Been playing that. If you haven't purchased it yet, it's on Steam. Go get it. It's amazing. It's in the beta right now.
I'm
Oh,
looking at it
20%
right now.
off. Awesome. Yep. So go shove money at that because it's a lot of fun. It's kind of Minecraft-like-ish, somewhat, in a weird way.
You can craft things, can you? And you have to survive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Built a fort.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah, you can build forts. It needs multiplayer.
Tree.
It needs multiplayer, though.
Multiplayer would be amazing. I'll tell you what, a game I'm looking forward to is Fortnite. That looks really good.
That's the zombie one, right?
Yeah, that's the one done by Epic, I think, are doing it. And
Are they actually going to release it on PC?
Oh, yes. On PC. And I think it's PC only, actually. And yeah, you have to go out and scavenge some stuff. And you build your own fort, and you have to survive the night. Seems pretty cool.
I'm good with that. That sounds good to me. Other than that, it's been just some Battlefield. I got a lot of stuff going on getting the baby's room ready, so that's been eating up a ton of time. Like one of the days this week, I got home and I slept for 12 hours. And then another day this week, yesterday actually, I didn't even touch the internet, which I needed to. The only time I touched it was when the Verizon guy came over to check out my my connection to make sure everything was copacetic because we were having some issues with Skype last week and doing this live show. But everything seems to be going okay right now. I'm not going to jinx that, but hopefully things are going well right now. Even though I probably just jinxed it. Whatever. Anyway, so well, we're already 10 minutes in, so we might as well just bring Dave on board, and then we'll get him in. Dave, you ready? I don't know if you can even see because this is going to be delayed.
There we go. He's ready.
All right, I'm gonna drag Dave into the call so he can jump in here. He's ready to. But yeah, so we're going to talk to Dave Belcher.
Hello.
There he is, the other Brit.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Yes, it is afternoon. So good afternoon to you too, sir.
Unless you're on the West Coast, and then you're just living in the wrong place.
Good morning.
If you're on the West Coast, you're practically living on the moon, so no one really cares.
I'm agree with that one, yeah.
Yeah,
So-
now I alienated half my market.
There we go.
How's the tea and toast? Did you get to wolf that down before bringing you in?
I did. I had to eat it pretty quickly, so I got a bit of indigestion now, but it was very tasty.
So we're going to talk about a little bit about Embers of Caerus and a lot of stuff that you guys have been doing over the what I guess it was only like 3 or 4 weeks ago that we had you guys in, but now we're going live so we can get some questions and stuff in.
Yeah.
So
Well,
what's opening up? I know everybody is kind of wants more information on the. I want to call it pre-alpha build, but what are you guys officially calling it?
So we're calling it an exploration demo, or an exploration experience, or something involving exploration and demo. But basically, we wanted to release something just to show people what's going on and what's the in-game quality of the assets. I mean, screenshots are all fine, and people often think they've been photoshopped or whatever, and quite a lot of times they are a render with a paint over. But we really wanted to give people a real first-hand look at some of the stuff we're putting into the game. And we wanted to give people a real sense of the scale of the world. So the thought is to put together this test island, which we needed to do anyway, and which will be the basis for most of the testing of the game right through to beta, hopefully. Just to give people something to run around in, to explore, and then compare their experiences of how long it actually takes to get around that island, how extensive it is, all the fun things to find in there, which is the exploration part. And then compare that to the size of the rest of the world using the world map that we've released. So I could actually point out the specific island. If you look at the world map and look at Aldnerek, there's a small island off the west coast of Aldnerek, and that's the island that we'll be releasing with the exploration demo.
So, do they get to? Is it just exploration, or are there going to be things to like stab and kill or anything like that?
It's purely exploration. We figured we could add in some game features, but then it gets to the point where people start thinking it is actually the game. And then people start judging us on this kind of low-quality subset of the game and say, well, this is Emberes, Caerus, it sucks. So we really wanted to make it purely an exploration demo. So you'll run around with a first-person view camera. There won't be any UI. There won't be any real other interactions you can physically do. We may put in some of our creatures have some very basic AI, so things running away from you as you're walking through the lands. And we're also there'll be lots of little points of interest for you to discover. And one thing we haven't discussed yet, so exclusive for you guys, we're actually going to be hiding a number of small items in the scene. Little idols or statues, the exact what they look like, we haven't decided on yet, but we'll be hiding these things, much like in Fallout. You have those little guys you'd collect.
Oh,
so,
the mopeds.
That's the one, yeah. So we'll be hiding these little items throughout the scene, and say there'll probably be about a dozen of them, and the first person to find each one, to send a screenshot of each one, and submit it into us, will be giving away small prizes. Just as kind of a bit of a competitive thing. And then also, obviously, it's a achievement style, got to catch them all, but we think it'd be a fun little exercise to get people really running around and exploring.
That's awesome. I think everybody will like to get into that and do it. I know I'm looking forward to Embers because of the exploration stuff that you're going to have in it, number one. Yeah. So having in it a little exploration demo or exploration thingy, as Hopi put it. I'm excited to be able to go and explore and look around and see what's about. And if there's achievements and little things to actually find and like a little competition in there, I like that too.
You're all about the achievements there.
So. Oh, I love achievements. I really do.
Yeah. I mean, you've really got to gamify it, otherwise it's just going to be, we run in, just jump in and run around a bit, see some trees, that's great, and switch it off and never come back. So giving people a reason to get in and then really have a good look around and see some of the cool stuff that's in there is going to be a good thing. And it's also, it's a foundation. We do have other things planned. There's something the community knows that's called the Pre-Alpha Tavern, or Pat's Tavern, as it were. Which is currently just a little IRC chat room on our website. But ultimately, we want to build on it. So there will be a point when there will be a tavern in there, which will be set in part of that test island scene. And then we'll start introducing the multiplayer mechanics. So it'll be pretty much like a social space. and you get to go in and hang out with other people and chat and that sort of thing. And that all builds on the foundations of getting this exploration demo out.
Will that be, I assume, well, the exploration demo, will that be connected to your servers in any way, or is it going to be a standalone thing?
So the exploration demo, it'll be a standalone, actually playable through your browser. So the Havoc Vision Engine has a feature much like Unity, where it has web vision that allows you to play Havoc Vision Engine games in your browser in exactly the same way as Unity does it. I'll throw a link in the chat in a second for the demo they have. But yeah, so basically, I mean, the game has to be created such that it can be deployed through the browser. So it's just a way of packaging up your assets so that you can stream them down to the client. But yeah, basically we'll have it up and it'll be up on our website. We'll likely set it up so that you log in to your community account to get into it. But other than that, there'll be no connection for the initial exploration to the server at all. You can just hop in and run around to your heart's content.
Man, that sounds like one of those things that would be awesome to have. When Star Wars: The Old Republic was in beta, they had all this like data mining stuff that was in the game. So when like people were playing, they could see where they were going and where people weren't going, and all that. That would be awesome for you guys. So what's new on the development side of things right now?
So, obviously, we released the newsletter a couple of weeks ago now, and hinted at the things we're working on. Basically, we've moved our key focus of the world design elements of the game from what we were working on, which was the city of Thal, to basically completing and fleshing out the test islands ready to release to the community. So, a lot of work's been kind of put into putting that together, to developing the web vision client so that you can obviously run around in it, and all the focus around that side of things for the last couple of weeks. It's been quite a flurry of activity with that. I mean, ultimately, we have people who have been following us, members of our community following us for over 2 years now. And we figured it was about time we gave them something to get their hands on. So that's why we moved well, that's part of the reason why I moved all the focus onto that. The other reason is obviously when you're developing a part of the actual deliverable game, you really want to get it spot on. And we were going around a little bit around in circles around some of the design decisions around the city of Thal, and some of the kind of the feel of the city, and we basically felt that it was wasting a lot of the time we should spend just kind of polishing off our prototype, which we'll need obviously for future funding. We were spending time that we really shouldn't need to spend. So we decided to move across to just developing the playable part of the prototype in the test island, which will lay the foundations for all the future testing, obviously. But also it gives our world design team, our environmental artists, the freedom to just go nuts, just to try things out, put together kind of concepts of some of the ideas that we have around some of the parts of the world, and just really test things out without having the kind of the restrictions, limitations of having to wait for the designers to write out descriptions of everything, having the concept guides, concept art, everything up, and basically being on the end of a long chain of events that ultimately mandates exactly what they need to do, so robbing them of some of their creative freedom. So we just really want them to go nuts on this test island, and to make some cool things for the community to find. And so yeah, so most of the work has been spent on that, and we really want to get that out as soon as possible. So we're talking within a couple of months at best, I would have thought.
So it's to the point now where if the thing was ready tomorrow, which I'm sure it's not, but I mean, if it was ready tomorrow, you guys would put it out. So as soon as it's done, it's coming.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it has to go through a couple of sanity tests. So we'll be going, obviously we'll be testing internal and friends and family just to make sure everything's running as it should, and to find all the stupid things. It'll then be going out to the Platinum Club, which is our kind of the privileged testers, I guess. Those are the guys who have been supporting us through the community and financially, who we literally wouldn't be here where we are today without them. So they get first hands-on. All the hidden secrets won't be in the test scene at that point. We're only adding those when it gets released to the general public, so they don't get any advantage there. But they will get in and have a run around first. And then as soon as that's happened, so probably a couple of weeks of that, it'll be out. So if it was ready today, in approximately 2 weeks, it would be in your hands. So yeah, we really want to push it out as soon as possible.
All right. We got a bunch of questions popping up over here. I see. You wanna field a question or two real quick?
Oh, sure. From Darth Wolves. How big are the continents in terms of time it takes to walk from one end to the other?
Okay, so we actually ran a competition. We ran a competition. When was that? I can't remember when it was, but it was a while ago. Basically, we had one of our young QA guys. We gave him the unenviable task of actually running from the westernmost city on Alderac across to the easternmost city on Alderac. And basically time how long it takes. And for that run, bearing in mind there was nothing slowing him down, so there was no... He had to go around mountains and stuff, obviously. He was following a road. But there was no stamina issues, no having to stop and eat, no being waylaid by evil things on the way. But how long was it, Lee? I know you were in the chat. I think it was around about... It was either 6 or 8 hours.
Oh my god!
What? 8.5 hours?
8.5 hours. There you go.
Stole my heart. Yikes!
And that's not even from the westernmost tip of the continent. So
That's just one continent, or is that the map in general?
Oh no, that's one continent. That's Alderac.
Oh my god!
I mean, each continent's around about 4,000 square kilometers thereabouts of landmass. So Lee's going off to check now. But yeah, so on foot, it's going to take a while. I mean, I think we talked about this in the last podcast. It's very important to have that amount of separation across the continent. And yeah, okay, a lot of the continent will be empty, but that's kind of the point, is it not? And also, you can't really have a localized economy if you can just take stuff over, like 15-minute run over that way to the next city and just kind of hawk your own goods. You really have to have that distance involved. So,
well, what about... Okay, so on a map that's that big, I'm going to kind of add on to this question. On a map that's that big, or it takes you that long to go from east to west, is there going to be fast travel? No. That's
crazy talk. So fast travel... There'll be fast travel in terms of you can get a reasonably fast horse, maybe, or a nice, quick little speedboat ship. I'm joking, there's no speedboats. But, yeah, no, there's no instant or fast travel at all. That would obviously undermine the whole point of having a massive continent or massive world. And also, fast travel tends to kind of focus things on specific areas. Because, I mean, if you have a game with fast travel, majority of people are going to be at the hubs where the fast travel is. Nobody's going to be in the intervening lands. And that kind of negates the whole point of having all that land that our poor world team are spending hours and days and months and years crafting, if people can just whip from one place to another.
Are you guys willing to charge actual money for horses? Because if so, there's a guy in the chat right now who's willing to pay for one.
He can throw money at us. It may result in a horse. That horse may then be stolen or killed, but we bear no responsibility for that.
Oh my god.
Oh man.
All right, Dan, find another one.
All right, here's a good one that just came in from Sol. Is it Solran?
Solaron.
Sularon. Is the skill system finalized yet? And can you tell us about how crafting will work?
So the skill system isn't finalized yet. We have the high-level concept of how we want it to work and a few of the mechanics bashed out, but as a whole, it isn't finalized. I mean, we really want to make it so that it's interesting and involving without being too laborious. So there's going to be a lot of work going into the skill system on an ongoing basis, right through to release and beyond, to make sure it's as solid as it can be. With crafting, so that's a tricky one. We go back and forth quite regularly on the whole crafting debate. But some of the key concepts that we do want to make sure we stick to is to provide choice and also to provide make sure that every trade is meaningful. And no matter what level of crafting you have, even though it doesn't have levels, but what level of expertise you have for your craft, you are able to contribute something. So some of the high-level concepts, so obviously this is all subject to change, seeing as we're still a few years out from release. But we're definitely going for a component-based crafting system. So rather than just getting all the materials together and blam, you have made a cart or whatever, you'll have to go through the stages of components. So you'll have to create the, obviously create the planks and things to make the cart. You'll have to create the kind of metal bolts or whatever you need to screw it together, and the metal banding to kind of strap everything together. And each of those items we foresee being created by the younger crafters, so the guys who are new at their trade. So they'll just be banging out all these little metal bolts they'll sell off to shipwrights and things. And then obviously you'll be able to compose those in together. So essentially from kind of rock to cart, you've got multiple different trades to make sure there's lots of diversity of things you can do to contribute to your area and to your economy. So so that's one of the key focuses, is obviously having so all the trades are useful, but also giving people the choice of how they approach those. So there needs to be a balance. So some people, they just want to grab the stuff, hit a button, make the thing, and nice and easy. Other people want a more involved kind of mini-game-based crafting system where they get involved, and the quality of the resulting goods is based on how well they play the mini-game. So we're going for a balance of the two. Because, I mean, if we just go for the mini-game version, and the people who just want the one-button click, they'll just end up macroing it anyway. So what we're going for is, for every craft, there'll be the automated option, and then there'll be the manual option. The automated option is quick and easy. You can just bang out the goods as long as you've got the materials, and you just keep on cranking out all the goods ad nauseum. But the quality of those goods is going to be limited. You'll never get as high quality goods as you can through the manual process. But just for knocking things out nice and quickly, it's not a problem at all. And then the manual process will be more mini-game styled, so more involved, more using a lot more of the player's knowledge and player skill and trial and error to come up with the better results. And then you can create the higher quality goods. Take longer, but higher quality. So it really gives you the choice of which way you want to go.
Dave, let me ask you, did you ever play EverQuest 2?
I did indeed.
So is the system anywhere close to what the crafting system was in EverQuest 2? To give somebody like a comparable idea of what you're talking about with mini games.
I think that's fair in the in that kind of style of minigames where there's something interactive. So somewhere between that and something like RuneScape, which is a lot more kind of actually clicking on the sword. So somewhere between those two, I guess.
Okay.
The exact mechanics of it we haven't actually banged out yet, because it takes a long time to work out for each trade how you're going to handle the actual interactions, make it interesting, and all the rest of it. But something in that arena, certainly, yes.
So for those of you who are listening in and are not aware of what the EverQuest 2 system was, what would happen when you were crafting would be you would have 5 different levels, or 5, was it 5? Maybe it was 3. No, it was 3 or 5, whatever it was. And then each level would produce a different quality of item. So if you failed out completely and you were on the first system, a action would come up and you would have to use one of your skills, which was a reaction. And as you leveled up, you got a few more skills. And then, like I said, so you would counter the action with the reaction. And it was a cool system, and it was probably my favorite crafting system in any game. So if this has anything remotely close to that, or even above and beyond that, I'm excited. And you should be too.
So it sounds very much like you're expecting a very robust community involvement, community involved with the crafting system.
Yeah, totally. I mean, ultimately, being a true sandbox-style game, this side of things, so the crafting, the economy, the social aspects, the kind of interplay between the various different crafters within an area, that's critical to the game. Without that, it just becomes another PvP Gangfest game, and that's where we don't want to go. So a lot of time, effort, and thought is being put into these systems because we see them as probably the most important systems of the game, and the ability to create a marketplace, to build those social bonds with your favorite crafters or your suppliers. It's all pretty critical to the health and success of the game, in our opinion.
What about let's bring all these two major questions that we've had recently together with the world being so large and having crafters. Is there going to be a way to bring, like if I'm in the eastern city, the easternmost city, and I create something and put it on the market, can somebody in the westernmost city buy my item?
They can't without traveling there, or at least sending someone to go buy it.
Wow.
And ultimately, they wouldn't, unless you have agents in all the cities who are able to relay prices of items and things, which people probably will do, and probably will do using out-of-game communications or whatever. But to actually buy the items, you'd need to have the money in the city where the item is, and you'd have to be able to collect that item from that city. You couldn't just buy it and have it magically appear. Because the whole logistics of transporting goods across the world is kind of key. And it also provides that whole kind of under-economy of people who are just kind of traders or transporters of goods doing those courier shipments and whatnot. And also it kind of works into the whole kind of socio-economic political game where if you're going to be the best trader in the world, you're going to have your agents in all the cities. You're going to have to keep tabs on all the prices of goods across the whole world and have people who are shipping things from one place where you're buying it cheap to another place where you're selling it for a lot of money, and really kind of playing that kind of world market, as it were. But we're not going to make that easy for you. The difficulty and struggle of doing that is where you get the most glee from the success when you're rolling around as a big fat successful tradesman living off the fat of the land, as it were.
Good Lord.
So, sorry, can I just ask something from that?
Yes, you can.
With that, what's preventing everyone from just like you said, like they do in MMOs nowadays, just going around one certain area, like the city, and just basically concentrating on that area? Because, I mean, cut out the middleman, cut out the travel time and get your goods out on sale quicker for more profit.
Nothing at all. And that's kind of the point, is that while the world is large, we fully expect there to be some of the more casual players who live their entire game life in one area, which is why we were also making sure that each area has everything you might need to kind of survive and sustain yourself. The bigger profits and maybe the higher quality goods you'll only be able to get through trading with far-off lands, but we don't see any reason to prevent people from living happily in one area. Just kind of concentrating on that area, being the most knowledgeable person in that area, getting all the goods they need from that area and selling it locally. And ultimately, they're going to be the people that the worldwide traders are going to be going to, because they have the local knowledge, they have the best access to all the local resources. So does that answer your question, or did I not understand the question?
No, that did answer. I mean, so there is something. So what's preventing? I mean, MMO players, a lot of them are kind of like min maxers, aren't they? They want the greatest gain for minimal amount of effort, I suppose you could say. Would their person have benefit from going out into the outside world? You know, not staying put. Is there more like, I guess you could say, more reward by going further out? You know, if you get what I mean, from the city.
Yeah, totally. So apart from the obvious, like there'll be a lot of people in one area and limited resources. So just having to go further afield to get more resource. But also with the distribution of those resources, there'll be some of the resources, or some of the more valuable resources, or the high quality resources may be further out of field. They may be in a far off corner of the land away from any city. So you may have to go up and set up your own little player mining town where you can farm that resource, then ship it down south to the other cities. And likewise between each continent. So each continent's not going to have the same resources. You may only be able to get certain resources on certain continents. So then you make a lot of money shipping those materials or those resources between that city and all the rest of them, or that continent and all the rest of them around the world of Caerus. So having it so that we really want to make it so trading and international and national trading is potentially a very lucrative market.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I just want to jump in here real quick, just in case anybody's just now joining us. We're talking with Dave Belcher for Embers of Caerus, and right now we're kind of going through crafting and the size of the world, and Tom's getting more into min-maxer questioning. So continue on, Tom. Sorry.
Okay, well, actually, I've that basically answered the question I was asking, but I've got another one from the chat again, from Sularan, and basically says, how dangerous will the environment be? Can you ignore it as long as you have enough food and water, or do you have to take cover from storms, etc.? So I think he means generally the environment, such as, you know, like weather effects and stuff.
The world itself, not so much
the
what's
world
in
itself.
the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we totally want to, and we plan to have environmental effects such that you don't want to be running around in Aldnorek in just your pants, because it's bloody cold.
Well, there's Rhodes' character out the window straight away.
Hey, now.
But yeah, exactly how we'll manage that, we do have some systems in mind that should make it quite easy. I mean, the ongoing task, or my ongoing task as the technical director, is to come up with crazy good ideas that can be done in the simplest manner possible. And luckily that's something that I excel at. So we do have the basis, and this is also what drives the weather system. So if you see that it's kind of raining, then we have the logic that defines simply to your client that it is raining. So there's nothing to stop us having certain effects that happen to your character in those certain weather conditions. But then you've got other things like the sailing system. So the whole kind of sailing side of things is very dependent on the weather, and whether there's any wind, which direction the wind's blowing, how strong is that wind, and that drives the whole sailing mechanic. So we have to have the interaction there. So yeah, as for danger, we definitely it's definitely on the table as far as list of features and desired features. So we definitely want to have it so that the environment itself is dangerous. I mean, obviously running around in lava is going to be bad for your day.
Yeah.
And things like that. But yeah, as far as weather's concerned, we would like to, definitely. I don't want to say for sure because there are some nuances that make it reasonably tricky. And also we want to make sure that it's not something that we put in place, but then through the nefarious client hacks, which are bound to happen, we don't want people just to kind of bypass those effects. So if we say, if it's stormy, then you're going to take this amount of damage if you're outside in the storm, or it's going to hinder your combat ability by this percentage, and then have someone come along who's done some hackery on their client, so they're not getting that negative effect from the weather, so suddenly they're kicking your ass because they don't have the negative effect they should have because they've done some client hackery. So making sure that it's kind of well balanced, and it's not something that we're putting in place that could be easily bypassed.
Actually, off that, I would like to ask, since there's another game that everyone knows I love so much that I've asked this question of before. Speaking of hackers, what are you guys planning to do about that?
Shoot them. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah,
No, I actually support that measure right there. I'm fully on that, and your Tom's all anti-gun too, so you know.
well, I do have people I can call to arrange such things. So,
Tell me more.
but no,
Continue.
So I'm in a very fortunate position. So I don't know if I told you guys about my current day job situation. So currently, I actually work as a professional hacker. An IT security professional. So I have the benefit and the great pleasure to have lots of extremely talented friends who are very keen to get their hands on our game as soon as it's to a state where that would be beneficial, to help us break the crap out of it, and also to help work through getting it as secure as possible. So I think we're quite lucky in that regard. And also, obviously, my background, we're making sure that as we develop the game, we're being as secure as possible with all of our kind of so all the secure coding practices being adhered to. When we're architecting the server technologies, we'll make sure they're nice and secure, like bank level of security on our game servers and all of our count systems, and make sure we do everything we can to kind of protect data in transit, so all the kind of network communications, to make it as hard as possible for anyone who does want to hack our game to do so. Obviously, there's no way to 100% secure things, but being proactive about it, doing everything we can to raise that level of pain as high as possible, and then monitoring the crap out of everything so that we can see these anomalies and see where people are hacking the game or doing things they maybe shouldn't be able to, flagging that up, and then dealing with them with extreme prejudice. We have no issue at all banning anyone who's doing anything like that's going to damage our game, basically.
I'm so glad you answered more than we are initiating a proprietary defense system. just putting that out there. So, returning to Suleron, Suleron wants to know what you guys have planned for the complexity of NPCs, and he's more aimed toward the hireable NPCs. I'm guessing like guards or merchants, whatever.
So, okay, so I'll go from a higher level into the actual kind of town management stuff. So this, again, is all kind of drawing board stuff, subject to change, blah, blah, blah. But basically with your town, we want it so that it has some aspects of your kind of town management kind of God Simmy stuff, so like settlers or whatever. Or what's the other one? Stronghold. That's another one, similar sort of game. But so basically, you need to build the right buildings and have all the right amenities and set your taxation to the right levels to attract a population, which is basically just a statistic for your town. It doesn't mean you're going to have like hundreds of NPCs running around, but you have a kind of population statistic for your town that goes up or down depending how well you manage your town. And that population statistic then dictates the pool of NPCs you can draw from. So these are hiring new guards. If you have people who are setting up NPC vendors, so the vendors to staff those. And so you have this kind of pool of NPCs that you also have to equip. So if you have a barracks, which you'll need to recruit guards, you'll have to stock it up with weapons and armor for them to wear. You'll need to stock it up with food so they obviously get fed, and money because obviously they'll draw a wage. All this obviously coming from taxation and stuff. So we want to have it so that people can hire NPCs into certain roles. What we don't want to have is a game where you just buy hundreds of NPCs that you can order around like pets in a normal game and basically just have an NPC against NPC war, because that just wouldn't work out very well. But yeah, but being able to hire guards to patrol your town, to man guard towers, to to make sure that your laws are being adhered to is definitely something we want.
Dave, when you say your town, are you speaking in terms of a single person, or are these like multiple, like guilds, I guess you could say, building these towns?
Oh, these we hopefully transcending guild boundaries. Obviously, with the are you guys aware of the guild blog I posted a long time ago, where I talked about the whole approach to the guild system, which is a complete other discussion. I'm not going to start in because that's another hour on its own.
Tune in next week.
But yeah, so basically, you can be a part of multiple guilds or associations, as we're calling them at a time. So you're part of your family, your nation guild, your crafter. So you've joined the crafters guild, you've joined the fishing club, whatever. But yeah, so it's a group of players coming together to build up a town. Building the requisite town facilities, such as a town hall, which you'll need to do management of the town. And then whoever controls that town hall then gets to set the laws and taxations and things like that of any laws that haven't been mandated by the higher power. So if your town is allied with a core faction, then some of the laws you would keep from that core faction. So people know, I'm going to this town, it's a sub-faction of the main faction, so I know that I'm not going to get murdered, and it's against the law and all the rest of it. But anyway, so yeah, so it's a player group owned piece of territory that contains one or multiple houses, I guess, is the most general approach.
All right.
But yeah,
go ahead. Or are you
I
done?
was just going to say one more thing with your population stat. We also want it so that once you go up over certain levels, then you do have the odd NPC extra walking around, like the homeless old guy sat in the corner, or maybe the bard comes to visit and sits in your tavern and provides some benefit to your kind of recovery rates while he's playing in the tavern and you're eating your food and stuff. So.
I wanted to hit Hopi's question here. Oh, he wants to be called Moo. Sorry. So Moo asked, last time you mentioned that you would be surprised to see mages in the first 6 months of the game. So what are the steps that have involved in becoming a mage?
Like I'm going to tell people.
So once we're done recording, I would love to re-ask you this question.
So all I will say is if you want to travel the road of a mage, you will probably want to walk long and far and hunt deep to find anything that might give you information that might help you find the and then how well you travel down that path is, again, how well you do your research, how well you understand the messages you are reading and the things you find. But don't expect it to be easy, don't expect it to be quick, and don't expect to become all-powerful overnight. It's not an easy path, and I fully expect it to be elusive to the majority of the people. So the good thing is, because we're not Star Wars Galaxies and not everyone wants to play a Jedi, we don't have to make it easy for people. So
A follow-up question to that one. We talked last time about the differences between mages and, for example, priests, which I'm interested in taking up. Being that there are differences between the two, does that mean that the paths to go from one to the other are going to be completely different, or is it going to be roughly the same thing?
Oh, no, so it'll be very different. Because, I mean, as a priest, you're very reliant on your flock, as it were. So, as a priest, you'll join a certain church. The threads of magic that you actually have access to is dictated by whatever deity it is you're the priest of. The amount of power that's granted to you by your deity is very much dependent on the size of your flock, how well you're doing your kind of priestly duties. And so your power is very much limited by other players. Whereas with a mage, your power is limited by yourself and how well you research, how well you explore the old ruins, how well you find all the old texts, and how well you decipher those texts and understand the old Arcuvian language, and very much kind of it's all down to you, but it's a lot harder to get there. But once you do get there, you have access to all the threads of magic potentially. So it is very different. It's easier to become a priest, but it will still take you a long time before you can wield kind of religious power, I guess. So.
Related to the mages, Darth Wolf, I think, but with a V at the end, asked, will killing a player mage drop any special loot or craftable material to create an Uber item? So, say I'm hiding in the bushes, just casually, as you do.
As you do.
And a mage just strolls down the street, and I throw a rock at him, and that rock was such a good throw, it went right through his eye and out the back of his skull.
Okay.
I go up. Will I find anything special? Will he have glowy pants on him that I can make into an Uber item?
Okay, so the first question was, how do you know it's a mage?
Because he's got a hat on.
Okay. And a pointy nose.
And a pointy nose.
Yeah, so, and that's a witch.
Oh, yeah.
So the short version is, by virtue of being a mage doesn't mean that they will automatically have special things like glowy pants. But being a mage and the sorts of researches they do, they may be carrying things that are of value and knowledge, arcane knowledge or whatever. But no, there won't be any special kind of mage tears that you can pick up and decant into some super powerful potion of awesome.
On that, will there be glowing pants?
To be determined.
Ooh.
All right, fair enough.
Wait, now you guys completely missed. You guys completely missed something here. So you're not really going to know that a mage is a mage.
No. I mean, there will be some ways to tell. Fire coming out of his hands or eyes is usually a good indicator. But, I mean, ultimately, there are more issues with being a mage than just the lore reasons of being a mage. I mean, mages, generally, wherever they go, if they're wielding their arcane powers in any way, tends to attract bad things. We're not going into specifics of the bad things. We want people to find out for themselves. We will be sat around the office laughing while they do. But so there are going to be reasons why you don't really want prolific magic users in your kind of vicinity much. So we expect them to be actively hunted, particularly people who abuse their powers. So you don't really want to be letting on you're a mage, because there are going to be lots of mage haters and witch hunters and the like who just want to kill you.
You just made me want to be a mage even more.
Yeah, totally. And you should be able to set laws in your town that outlaws anyone who's a mage. So anyone who has magical power, they become exempt to the various laws of killing people. So you really want to hide the fact you're a mage, in the same way you want to hide the fact you're a thief or an assassin or other kind of miscreants.
Can I ask, do mages weigh the same as a duck?
They do.
Ah, there we go then. We just need weighing scales.
Because
and
they
we can
float.
tell. That's it. They float like churches and very small rocks.
What is going on?
I'm sure Dave got that.
Indeed.
There you go. That's it.
Oh my god.
Along with the kind of the skills question that's been kind of looming here, Kuzranda asked, will the skills you gather be permanent, or is it possible in the old Star Wars Galaxies system where you can refund them and explore other paths? So
yes, is the short answer. Not like Star Wars Galaxies. You're not kind of refunding skill points and forgetting things to learn things new. I don't want to go into the system because I can't do it justice because I'm not Rob, but you will basically, at any given point, you can just choose to pursue something else. And all those skills that you neglect in the kind of course of pursuing these new things will just kind of naturally degrade over time. So you just naturally forget things. Well, not really forget things, but become less proficient at things that you're not practicing while you gain skill in things you are practicing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of the approach. And there's a whole kind of theoretical and practical level of the skills, your knowledge of the skill versus your ability to do the skill. And your knowledge of the skill will deteriorate a lot slower than your ability to do the skill. But in the same breath, if your knowledge of the skill hasn't deteriorated too far, it'll probably be quicker to regain that later on. As a high-level, fluffy, vague kind of background on that, but yeah, no, totally, you'll be able to drop whatever skills to learn something new. You essentially have to be able to do anything you may want at any point on your one single character per server.
Did you just say one character per server?
Yes.
Dun dun dun. How many servers are we gonna have?
One. So basically, our thinking is the whole point is the immersion of you as this character in the game world. It's not just your puppet that you play with. This is you personified in this image of yourself in this rich, diverse world we're creating for you. The first-person view ties into that. The single-player character and being able to pursue many skills ties into that. It's just an approach that this is your persona in the game. And you should only need one character. You don't need multiple characters. You don't need to be able to do everything because there's hopefully going to be people around you that are fulfilling all those other things. You don't have to be a swordsmith because there's going to be one in town. You don't have to be a gatherer because there'll be people running around doing that you can buy the stuff from. And kind of just nudging people towards having that kind of social interdependency that people generally just bypass by having a crafter alt and a gatherer alt and a mage alt or whatever.
Kind of to piggyback off the skill stuff, Sularon asks, will there be a hard cap on skills other than the death statue system?
So, I mean, the statue system isn't really a cap per se. That's just a way you could lose part of your knowledge or whatever. But no, so currently it isn't hard capped. There isn't like 100 skill points on a certain thing. But there will be very much diminishing returns on skills with a soft cap. I mean, not soft like Darkfall soft, where you can just kind of level it and macro it and get super high and become super uber and you can't compete unless you have. But to the point where you could, if you're doing one thing all the time, you're going to be kind of maxed out on that skill to the point where you're not really going to gain much benefit taking it any higher. But we don't want people to focus on kind of getting a skill to a certain point. I mean, if you've just started to learn a trade, you're able to make something that's useful and to be selling that thing and be living the trade. We don't want people to just be doing something while they're preparing to do what they want to do. We just want people to do what they want to do. So at any point in the skill curve, you're able to contribute in some manner, but we don't want to have like the hard capness. We want it more natural than that. So it's kind of a semi-hard cap, I guess.
So,
but yeah, like I said, I can't do it justice because I'm not Rob, and Rob is the brain behind the skill system itself. But it's very interesting. We haven't seen anyone do it the way we're doing it before. I'm very excited to see how people react to it once it's in.
Sounds like we need to get Rob on here at some point.
Yeah. His dulcet tones. But yeah.
Rob, you were going to ask something?
yeah, so Sularon first was wondering how one creates a god, and then wondered how he can become a god, and more importantly, how can I become a god?
So, as for creating a god, you don't really create them as such.
I always thought it was the other way around, but I mean...
Yeah, so this is a tricky question. I'm not sure how to broach, but you don't necessarily create the gods. I mean, the gods are there, and you're praying to a deity for which you name, but who that deity ends up being, who can tell? Maybe you think you're praying to a benevolent god, but it could be just some crazy cuckoo hell god. who knows? But yeah, so how one creates a god, we don't have the specific system in mind right now of exactly how that's going to happen. We have some high-level ideas as usual, which I'm not really going to go into. But how he can become a god, just convince enough people that he is a god and have them pray to him, and that's probably good enough. I mean, it's the same discussion we have around how can I become a hero, because I was chatting in the community a while ago now around the fact that in Embers of Caerus, as opposed to other MMOs where you're the hero, in Embers of Caerus, you're not the hero. You're just another guy. And if you're going to be a hero, you have to become the hero yourself. You have to do heroic things. You have to have people hear of those heroic things, and other people then they label you as the hero. So it's something you become, not something you are. And likewise, if you want to become a god, just convince people of your existence as a god, I guess.
Right.
More of a cult, though, than I would have thought.
That's what I was looking forward to personally, but my real motive to being a priest.
Oh, we totally have people in the community who are already planning cults, so it's all good.
Your community members are dangerous.
They are. They're a crazy bunch. Crazy bunch.
All right, Dan.
Yes.
You wanted to ask about the ship battles last time, didn't you?
Yeah. Well, I kind of wanted to explore how the naval system works in general, because I know I did a bit of research on it when I was writing my articles, but I didn't really have the space or the time to get into the nitty gritty.
Cool. So, who on the podcast or in the watchers is familiar with a game called Sid Meier's Pirates?
Right
Yes.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so that's the start. So basically, that's the inspiration behind where we're going with the naval system. We want it to be something. It's not just driving a boat. You're not just jump in it and hit forward and drive around. And we don't want it to be like that. We want it to be more dynamic, and also for the larger ships, a group activity. So from a high level, very much like Sid Meier's Pirates. So you have a wind direction and strength, and depending on how many sails you're flying, and what direction you're pointing the ship in, will determine your speed and all the rest of it. So when you're trying to travel from A to B, if you want to get there fast, we've got to make use of the wind. If you're in the middle of a sea battle, if you want to get the advantage, you've got to make use of the wind. So that's the kind of approach there. And then for the multiplayer aspect, we want to have it so that there's just multiple stations on the ship. So you have one guy on the tiller or the wheel, have another guy who's running around hoisting sails up and down, maybe guys manning whatever weapons are on the boat, maybe somebody's doing navigation, and just kind of giving people roles to play. I mean, you could do it yourself and run frantically between the various different posts, interacting with the various parts of the ship. And we have discussed the possibility of hiring NPC seamen. Lol.
I was holding back. You did it. All right, fine.
So hiring NPC seamen to fill roles. I've thrown myself completely off track now. But
Like a bunch
obviously,
of kids.
I know.
Yep.
Well,
For
we are
sure.
making video games, so yeah. But yeah, so we obviously wouldn't want them to be as efficient as players, because we'd want to give the benefit to people who are using a player crew. But ultimately, we don't want to make it to the point where it's just a nightmare, and you're in the middle of the sea, and all of your crew's logged off for the night, and you're sat there in the boat, and you don't know where you are, you don't know what you're doing. How the hell are you going to sail the ship? At least you should be able to kind of manage sailing somewhere to find a safe berth for the night. Does that answer the question?
I think
Yeah.
it was.
I think so.
I was actually inspired by that. Now, there's a map. I've seen this map of what the game's supposed to look like. But is it safe to assume there are probably some uncharted islands out there that we could possibly discover and maybe build a fortification on and have our own little base away from home? Or the continent, as it were.
I'd say that was a pretty safe assumption. Given that the map was drawn by a drunken old man who we found hiding on a small island, and he scratched out this map that he apparently drew while sailing around the lands. There's going to be lots of the smaller kind of islands around, particularly between Napuanca and Caerus, so the southern island and the eastern island. So that water between, it's very Caribbean in what's the word? It's very Caribbean anyway, and there may or may not be a string of islands there, which may or may not be a nice place for pirates to find their little hidey holes and set up their little pirate villages and stuff.
Can I be a pirate?
Yar.
Is that what you're saying?
Are a pirate. Oh, sorry.
Oh my god!
Fine, can I be a ninja?
Maybe? No, I mean, pirates definitely. I mean, it's essentially, you've got people who are transferring goods across the continent. You're going to have outlaws and highwaymen and all the rest of it. And then you're going to have people who are sailing stuff around the edge of the water. They won't have highwaymen and outlaws and that sort of thing. So really, for balance, we need to have pirates. But ultimately, when you give people a boat and the ability to have weapons on that boat and the ability to board other boats, then people are going to be pirates. You're not going to get away from that. So
it's just a natural progression.
It is. Yar.
Yeah. You either join my band of misfits or I destroy your ship. Huh? Yeah. Yeah. Can I steal somebody's ship completely?
I don't see why not.
Oh my god.
So
Can I hide on board and burn it on the inside while they're on it in the middle of the ocean? Yes.
Then you're going to die too.
I can swim, probably.
Can you swim miles?
Probably not.
I mean, when you consider that it's going to be probably about an hour and a half voyage between two continents. So you could be out in the middle of nowhere.
I have my floaties.
But yeah, I mean, with boats and stealing boats, obviously you need to be able to log off and have your boat not stolen. So in the major cities, and probably have the ability in kind of player-made ports and things, so that you can dock and pay a docking fee, and then you have like guard protection on your boat so that people can't just jump in and sail off with it. Well, they can, but then they'll get guards and things shooting them.
See, that's a point. What happens to, I mean, say you're sailing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you log off, because, I mean, we all have lives and we have to continue. What happens to your boat?
It kind of floats around.
So it's just like, oh, gotta go. Gotta, pick out the trash or something. You log off and your boat's just there, empty.
Yeah,
floating.
we'll probably set it up so that once you've logged off for a period of time, probably 15 minutes or so, it'll automatically drop an anchor. You might want to drop an anchor before you log off. But,
You don't want to run into an island.
Imagine that. You're going to be sailing and you're going to find loads of empty ships. And then what? So, I mean, okay, so say I find an empty big ship, the ship of Sam, and I come in and I sail it away. When he respawns back in, is it going to be like in the middle of nowhere? He's just going to drop into the ocean?
No, he'll still be on the boat.
Oh, God.
Tom, what the hell are you doing with my boat?
Just like, I have a boat. This is amazing. And then Sam kicks him overboard and sails away.
Come sail away with me.
Oh, dear.
I get more and more excited about this game every time I talk about it.
Yeah. So technically, we could kidnap someone and keep them on the boat all the time, couldn't we?
I guess.
See? Yeah.
He
that'd
could
be
jump
really
off. He could walk the plank, as it were.
Good. Yeah. I hope you like swimming.
Yeah. I mean, obviously all this stuff will go through various balancing as people get in the various stages of alpha and beta and exploit the crap out of it. So obviously we may have to put in other safeguards to stop such behavior, but for now we're keeping it as loose as possible and only inhibiting your freedoms of a player where absolutely necessary to safeguard the enjoyability of the game. But until that point, we want to give as much freedom as possible. But
I can't wait to see the first web series when someone's ship accidentally runs into the shore of some random island that's uncharted off in the middle of nowhere, And for the next 3 weeks, maybe 3 months, they're just doing a web series online of being shipwrecked. Luckily, there's enough materials on the island for them to survive. And if they get voted off the island, I mean, just stab them in the throat.
Let's just do our own episode of Lost.
Exactly.
There you go.
That would be kind of cool.
I'll be the smoke monster.
Yes.
Awesome.
As long as you have the siren that runs around with it.
I'll just scream into the mic. That works.
That's fine. That works. What else we got? Any more questions down here that we missed?
Well, there was one about the rumor of adding a MOBA style gameplay as part of it. I guess Darth Wolf wants you to explain this a little bit further than what he was able to get. Or can you? Yeah.
Who leaked that information? Seriously.
Pretty sure it was you.
Oh, I'm
pretty sure it's you.
So I will speak briefly about the MOBA style gameplay alongside the unannounced and definitely not final, but we definitely have an idea on the table for permadeath. If you'd like me to talk about that.
We're all ears.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So basically, this comes into what's also going to be a later stage testing. So after the kind of environmental exploration and after the pre-alpha tavern, we're going to be doing a gladiatorial arena, which is essentially a combat beta, where we'll have the very basic initial combat system. People will be able to jump in and fight each other, and then we can run tournaments and things and fight each other. And in the arena, your gladiators, the characters you fight with, they will be subject to permadeath. So you start off with a fresh character, and then there's some degree of kind of progression as you win matches and go up the rankings. But once you're dead, you're off the rankings. You've got to start again from the bottom. So this is kind of an aspect of permadeath we can put in, and then that's obviously the MOBA style. So we have the battle arena, which is gladiatorial arena that we can have 1v1 or team versus team, or one versus random creatures, team versus creatures, and all these kind of different permutations of gladiatorial combat gameplay. And because of the permadeath, we can even add in things like so with the kind of incapacitation system of combat, you knock him down to incapacitated state, and then the crowd decides whether or not you kill the guy off, for example. So this gives us a kind of a medieval style kind of MOBA-esque thing. And then when we release the game, so the thought is to kind of transfer this across into the main game. And I shared this with the Platinum Club quite a while ago now. And I think it's quite likely we'll try and get this into the final game. But basically, we will have gladiatorial arenas in the game, obviously, in the major cities, and you'll be able to build them for your player towns. And then when you fight in the gladiatorial arena, we want to do it so that you buy a gladiatorial slave. And then you fight using that slave in the arena. So you're not actually fighting with your main character. You will be able to, but you can fight with a slave instead. Obviously, they'll go through that kind of progression. So even if you're just like a trader, you don't like PvP much at all, you could just buy a slave and try it out in the gladiatorial arena. And likewise, if we set it up right, we can have it so that you don't even have to have the MMO at all. You can just get the gladiatorial kind of combat game, fight in the gladiatorial arenas, and that will actually happen in the in-game arenas. So you're, as a non-MMO player, fighting in the arenas, then all the MMO players are then placing wagers on your matches with your permadeath kind of gladiatorial combat. Because, I mean, with the gladiatorial fight, the fun is one guy's going to die and he's going to lose his life. So with permadeath, it gives you that kind of fun of watching the fight and knowing whoever loses is going to lose their life. So yeah, and that gives us an aspect of the ability to do a level of permadeath in the game as well. And one of the interesting ideas the community came up with that we may try to squeeze in is the ability to do a gladiatorial fight, but with your main characters, also subject to permadeath. So if you and guild leader of another guild you're like, okay, we've had this political wrangling for a long time. Let's just settle it. Let's get in the gladiatorial arena. We'll bill it as a big fight, and then we'll promote it, and then all the people come and watch, and you'll have that fight, and one of you is dying, and your character is getting wiped. To really give it some kind of spirit behind the fight and making it be meaningful. So
Perfect time to reveal you're an archmage. Just saying.
that would be a good time.
I challenge you to a fight. Eat a fireball. So I'm gonna hate myself if I don't ask this question more than if I do. But I'm really sorry for this. Is there the possibility that your Dynamics event team will actually turn the gladiator battles into a rebellion that the players will have to smack down or lose, depending on what happens, I guess?
So this is a very interesting idea.
welcome.
Apart from
I wonder where you got that idea from, Rogue.
Shut up, Tom.
But yeah, so Spartacus. So that would actually be a very interesting idea for an event, and just have like lots of crazy NPC slaves running around slotting people, and that would actually be a pretty cool event. So consider that one noted, and we'll stick it onto the event team stack. But
Fantastic.
yeah, I mean, these are the sorts of things that it'd be really cool for them to do, is just to build on what's happening in the world. So a player's built up a town, they built a massive coliseum, they're really successful. There's loads of people come from all around the world to come and watch matches in their gladiatorial arena. And it would be really cool to do something like that as the dynamic events team, to just trigger an uprising. And as everyone's come into town for this massive scheduled tournament, then just let loose the dogs of war, as it were. And so all the people who've come to watch have to help quell the uprising or whatever. So that'd be kind of cool, I think. So yeah.
See, look at that. Giving him ideas, too.
Man, I'm good for something, sometimes.
Yeah. I want to go back and I want to hit this question because I don't want people to think we're skipping over them. But Bulbarius has asked, it's a ship question again, can you upgrade certain aspects of the ship, the sails, the hull, the cannons, etc.?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, the ship's been crafted in the first place, so the quality of the goods that have been used to create the ship immediately affects the kind of the general quality of that ship. And there's nothing to say that you can't change the sails once the ship's been built. So get some new sails. Maybe the sails have been damaged in combat, or maybe you've sailed all your sails in the middle of a massive storm and they've just got ripped to shreds. So being able to fix, repair, modify and upgrade parts of the ship, definitely. We'd really love to have, again, this is a love to have as opposed to going to be in for release or even soon after, but we'd love to have it so that your ships are essentially just massive kind of sailing houses or kind of guild houses, so you can decorate inside and stick in whatever tables and things you need inside, and like crafting tables, and have it as your little floating base. So
I think Lee mentioned that above. It said the idea is to allow people to set up guilds and communities and live off the boat.
yeah.
That actually brings up a new question for me. So, say your guild ship is sunk, and you bring another ship to the area which it was sunk. Would you be able to maybe have divers or some way salvage stuff from the previous ship? Or is it just gone?
So there's a big TBD there, but I mean, we can certainly have it such that items that were on the ship can float for a period of time.
So like the death system in the just regular combat.
Yeah, yeah. So things will float for a while, and then potentially have a diving system. The seas are bloody deep, so having it so that you can actually dive down to the bottom to find stuff, that might be a problem. But we could potentially, similar to the kind of hidden treasure stuff, we could have a dive mechanic where it goes through a simulation of diving. So you go to a point, you hit dive, your character disappears or you just kind of go underwater for a bit and pop up, and you find things or you don't, potentially. But I mean, the exact mechanics around that would have to work out. There's lots of things around that part of the shipping system, such as what happens if you're all logged off and your ship in the middle of the sea and it's got anchored, but someone comes along and sinks it. What happens when you log in, and all things like that. So, yeah, there's lots of considerations around the various parts of that we'll probably balance out through playtesting later on. But yeah, you should be able to recover. Hopefully, you should be able to recover at least some of the things from that ship.
Awesome. I just saw another question here. Can you, from Bulbarius again, can you try to describe how combat will look? Tab targeting?
So, no, definitely no tab targeting. I say definitely no tab targeting. There may be some form of targeting for specific forms of magic, for example, but generally no. It's first-person, kind of visceral, Elder Scrolls-y, not the MMO, the single-player game. Kind of, you have weapons in your hands, you block, you strike, you parry, you evade by moving out the way, that sort of thing. So the exact, it's hard to describe, but basically you actively hit things that are in front of you, or you shoot things with a bow in a FPS style.
Combat then.
Yeah, exactly. I'm fumbling around, not being able to describe it, but yeah, pretty much. We do definitely want to have it so that your reactions, so it's reactionary and it's all about avoiding taking the damage as opposed to being able to absorb lots of damage. So if someone gets through your defenses and hits you, it's going to do a lot of damage. So you'll maybe take 3 or 4 decent hits and you're down. But through blocking, through parrying, through evading and dodging the blows, that's how the fights take a lot longer.
Gotcha.
So watching your back and making sure you have the advantage of height or whatever, and your positioning's right, and make sure that you're actively blocking attacks. And it comes down to things like the creature AI as well. So making sure that when a bull is charging at you, it charges in a straight line, so you have the option to step out the way, as opposed to a lot of games where the creature just automatically manages to face you no matter what movement you do. So as the creatures like one of the Grok, for example, if he's swinging a massive club to hit you over the head, you should be able to step out the way if you're quick enough. Or if you see an attack coming, you put up your shield and you block that. So it's very much around kind of reactionary live combat.
All right. What other questions we got here?
Going back to one we missed earlier, will fluff skills like musicianship have their own point pool, or do you aim to make every skill useful in some way?
Well, every skill should be useful, definitely. And musicianship is itself useful. So it will draw from the general kind of skill sets, but with the way the skills are structured, you can diversify quite heavily. It's just so things are bundled together. So if you're a crafter, you'll be able to pick up quite a few different trades without impacting too heavily on your overall skill pool. Because if you're skilled at working with metal, that's going to count towards your ability to make swords and armor and horseshoes and things like that. So there's lots of kind of aggregation going on. But if you're good with metal, you may not be very good as a carpenter. So it's going to cost you a lot more points to try and do both kind of metalworky and carpentry stuff than it is if you're going to do 2 different sorts of metalworky thing. But there's certainly is going to be a lot of latitude to do things like fishing, because that's going to take skill, obviously. Other hobbyist type activities are not going to be such a large impact on your overall skill. So different skills basically are going to be more or less taxing on your overall skill loadout, if that makes sense. I mean, it's easier to be a good fisherman than it is to be a master craftsman, if that makes sense.
All right.
I feel I've just babbled massively, but
No,
Not at all. Not at all.
No, we
So,
got
yeah.
it. We absorbed it all.
I mean, an example would be it would take you maybe 1,000 points to be a master swordsman. It'll only take you maybe 50 or 100 points to be a master musician. So you can do that alongside the master craftsman, and it's not really going to be, in the scale of things, a massive impact on the amount of points you have to go around.
All right. So we have a question from NSM484. Talking physics, like wind, rain, so on, from weather, will that have a impact on archery? And then a follow-up question from Totaler Krieg. And will dynamic weather, like snow accumulation, be in at launch?
So the snow stuff, definitely. Have you seen our engine test video? We had snow accumulation in that video. So yeah, no, definitely. We want to have it so that, particularly continent like Valheim, has 4 distinct seasons. So in the winter, there's snow everywhere. In the autumn, the trees are funky colors. In the summer, it's sunny some of the time. And so yeah, so we definitely want to have that kind of the weather changing, because this is all part of the immersion, right? I mean, if you're going to have seasons and things in the game, you have to be able to represent those in some manner. As for wind affecting archery, it would be cool. It's not too difficult to do technically. Where the issue arises is your ability as a player to determine that wind, so that you can make the right determination on how you shoot. Otherwise, people just think, oh, this is silly, inaccurate rubbish, because they can't tell where the wind's blowing, or how strong the wind's blowing, or if it's like blustery, gusty stuff. They just don't know how to counter that. So that basically it takes away a lot of the player skill, because they don't have the ability to do that. Now, if we can add in things like having a bit of string hanging from the top of the bow that shows where the wind's blowing and things like that, it might be a bit easier. But we'd have to do it well enough. And if we aren't able to do it well enough, then we're not going to have it in the game, because it has to be. We don't want it to detract from the fun of being an archer, trying to guess where the wind's blowing and stuff like that.
I completely agree.
Makes perfect sense to me.
Actually, in the same line with that question, will encumbrance from the gear and stuff you're carrying on you have a big impact? And with that, were I to, again, as I've said in other shows, run around naked with a pair of boots and a great sword, would I be faster for doing so?
So you won't necessarily be faster, but you'll probably be able to do it for longer, if that makes sense.
Okay.
I mean,
so wouldn't
yeah, I mean,
stamina as much.
There's many examples of people loading up with all sorts of kit, and they can run just as fast in the kit as they can out the kit, in general, but they get knackered a lot quicker, and that's more of the mechanic we'll be looking at. There may be a slight slowdown with the speed you do things, such as a fully armored knight may like swing slightly slower with his weapons than a nimble guy in just like a leather jerkin. Jerkin. But but yeah, no, I mean, we want it to make sense, but we don't want to make it so complicated that it's just a nightmare to work through. We also don't want to make it so that it's like there's no point wearing heavy armor because it makes you run slow, and if you run slow, you get owned in combat because the people running around in their skimpies are kicking your ass because they're too fast. So having that level of disparity between the two basically negates the benefit of the one, and that's where we don't want. So it's definitely a massive question of balance.
All right,
definitely. So yeah, to be determined.
I want to start rounding out these questions. So I want to kind of have one final question from Balbarius here, but I'm going to reword it because I think it's an interesting thought. So you guys have the exploration demo coming out soon. Is there any plans to break up your demos or break up the game during development to kind of open up new demos instead of just having, for instance, having the traveling demo? Balbarius said, what about a combat demo. Any thoughts on that, or any plans for that? Maybe.
Oh yeah, totally. That's what the whole Gladiator Arena is. Is basically a combat demo. It's the roughest, earliest version of our combat, which at least gives you an idea of where we're going with it, to get that immediate feedback, so that we can, rather than just finishing the whole system and spending years on it, we want to get things out to people in an agile manner. Yes, I'm using my software engineering parlance. But we really want to be agile with development and get things to the community as early as we can. That isn't necessarily going to be as early as we'd like, because things do take a long time, especially with a part-time dev team. Things just take a lot longer than even we expect, to be honest. But we want to get things in the hands of the community as soon as possible and just build on that. So the exploration demo, which will build to the pre-alpha tavern, and then build that up to the point, which won't be till after we got the alpha release, but getting the combat beta game or combat kind of alpha game put together, get that out, and then continue building content. And essentially we'll be building up the test island as much as we can. And those people who are on our supporter plans will obviously be the first guys in there. But so you're almost playing a game well before we actually release the game, which would be cool for us. And then some of those things they carry over as well. So with the Pre-Alpha Tavern, which is the social space I was talking about, that's something we can keep after release. So if we have to take the servers down for an update, we can leave those up so that you can log in and you can socialize and hang out in the tavern and kind of interact with people while you're waiting for the game to come up. Or even when you first buy the game, while you're waiting for the however many hundreds of gigs it's going to be by the time we're finished, while you're waiting for all that to download, first thing it'll download is the character creator, so you can make your character. And then the next thing it's going to stream down is the pre-alpha tavern, or a tavern scene, or maybe the interior of a ship. So you can get in, start socializing, chat to people who are waiting to download the game as well. And just while you're waiting for the game, you have something to play. So we definitely are big fans of these kind of staged approaches where we can get something, put it out there, and then see how we can make use of it later on, so we're not wasting any of this effort.
All right. So let's wrap this up, and then I know you guys have the Platinum Funders, and I know you explained it last time, but just for people that are kind of new or just hearing this episode, you want to give a quick rundown on that?
So, I mean, with the supporter plans, basically a game doesn't fund itself. So people asked a long time ago, like right when we started the community, for different ways to be able to support the project. And we had the PayPal donate, but we wanted to kind of thank people for the support they've been giving us. So we put together these supporter plans. And this is something we have been kind of developing over time, so we have added new features to it, and we want to continue to do so. We might actually try and get some of the Kickstarter rewards into some of the some of the support levels. But basically, people fund us up to the Platinum level, and then the Platinum Club, they have access to a closed forum where we share our earliest, roughest ideas of things. Any new screenshots generally go there first. Any early tests of anything coming out goes to them first. And they're like our alpha group, and our the first people we go to with ideas and things before we release it to the general population. And it's not, well, it is exclusive, obviously, but it's not about exclusivity. It's just these people have invested often a fair amount of money into this project. So this allows us to thank them for that. And it's also because they're invested in the project, we know that they're passionate about it, and they want what's best for the project. So when we ask them things or share things with them, we know we're going to get a fully honest opinion. We know it's not going to be full of hate and bile or whatever the general population of the internet tends to spit at things. So it's a good sounding board. But anyone who wants to be a part of that, we welcome with open arms, because they're a fantastic bunch, and they really, really help us out with our development, as does the whole community. So don't think because you don't have enough money to pay for a Platinum sponsorship. Every post that gets posted on the forum, I read. So just be a part of the community, share share ideas, and just kind of really help us build this game.
Awesome. Is there anything else you want to add before we close this out?
I don't think so. I think I've covered more than I was expecting to. But,
I think
The
this
trends we got going
went
on here.
really well. I really do, and I hope we can get together and do this again in the future. Where
Lee-
do babies come from?
Lee knows where Babe's coming from because he's having one soon. Well, he's not having one. 'Cause
Or
that would
is
be
he?
Weird. Or is he? I don't know. He's been losing a lot of weight.
Lee, we'll have a race for when our fiancés or girlfriend or wife, however yours is, pop the kid out. Okay? Mine's due in 2 weeks.
Cool.
All right. So,
Mine
ladies and
equals
gentlemen,
blow.
yeah. This has been the Banhammer. We have Dave Belcher from Forsaken Studios developing Embers of Caerus. Hey, you guys were mentioning possibly doing another Kickstarter again. Last time, maybe?
So not until we finish the prototype.
Okay.
And only then if we have specific things that we know we can fund through Kickstarter. I don't think it would be right for us to come along and ask for $1 million on Kickstarter, but if there's something we can definitely fund that is going to help us with development, then potentially. But it's not on the cards right now. It's not something we have specifically planned.
Gotcha. All right, so go check out Forsaken Studios. Embers of Caerus, embersofcaerus.com. You guys have the Forsaken Studios website as well, right?
We do, but don't go there because it needs updating massively. And
All right, so don't go there.
if anyone's a web developer and wants to contribute some time to our project, then I would definitely make use of you to do some of the website updates. And likewise, we're also recruiting programmers, artists, especially animators. If anyone's interested in helping out on the project in the more practical sense, you should definitely drop an email into jobs@forsakenstudios.com. And random plug for myself, I have a Twitch channel now, and I play video games badly on it. So if you want to laugh at my expense, check out twitch.com/UKBelch.
You guys are taking everybody from around the world, right? It's not
Yeah,
just
yeah, no,
specific
totally.
to the UK.
I mean, we've got guys in Australia, guys in America, guys in the UK. We don't have anyone in Wales, thankfully. Guys from around Europe. So yeah, no. Anyone, anywhere. If you have skills and you can demonstrate those skills, and you want to be a part of making what we fully expect to be the most epic MMO of our generation, then get in touch because we could definitely use your assistance,
Awesome.
even though we can't pay.
So it's like working for Twilhammer.
Just about.
That's awesome. So jobs at ForsakenStudios.com. Go check that out. You can follow Forsaken Studios or Embers of Caerus on Twitter at Embers of Caerus. And you can follow Dave at UK Belch on Twitter as well. So yeah. Dave, thank you for joining us again because this is awesome.
Cool. Thanks for having me.
And we hope to have you back soon because we know that I think your community liked it. It seemed like on their forums they were excited to have.
Yeah,
to
totally,
listen to
totally.
it. So
They especially love how much you blow our minds.
yeah. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, go ahead. Do you want to add something?
No, I almost said something on the lines of "That's not all I'm going to blow," but that would have come out completely badly.
Considering the course of how our conversation's gone to this point, I think it'd be right.
Yeah.
I apologize for my childish humor.
That's okay.
Don't apologize.
That's
Not on
how
here.
we,
No, no.
That's
it
how
fits
we
right
roll.
in here.
Par for the course here.
So well, hopefully everybody else enjoyed it as well. And we'll get Dave back on here soon. So Dave, I'm going to throw you out of the call, and we're going to close out the show.
Excellent.
And we'll talk to you soon. All right, man?
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Thank you
All right,
very
thanks,
much.
Dave.
Thank
See
you.
ya. All right, so that was Dave Belcher again. go check out Ember of Caerus because obviously you can tell it is freaking amazing. Everything that they're talking about, everything that you can find on the internet or on their website, their forums, whatever it is. If you can afford to be a platinum funder, go do it. If you can throw any money at them at all, go throw money at Embers of Caerus. You know, any funding that they can get obviously is going to at least help with getting the game produced and developed faster. And they're
I'm
an
seriously
awesome bunch.
thinking about it. I'm
They're
thinking
not-
about throwing money your
Yo,
way.
money bags Dan. Go throw money at it.
For all of us. Huh?
Yes. Yes, go look at it. Hopefully we are going to have some new people. Hopefully we'll get them back on again. And we'll have some new people floating around at that time. We want to get Ducey on because Ducey is starting to do... Ducey took over the coverage that Dan was doing for Embers of Caerus, so we want to get him on and talk about stuff.
He actually released his part 4 of the factions article while we were recording.
I saw that. So go check out the factions articles. Hopefully we can get Lee on here, who is the art director, at some point. Well, with that said, let's go and do our video game release for the week. I can't use this new video game release thing. It is impossible for me to use now.
It's too big.
No, it's not that. It's just confusing. So now I'm going to have to go find a new list. All right, so video game releases for the week of April 14th, 2013. We are looking at La Mulana for Steam, coming out on Steam for the PC. Shin Megami Tensei Devil
Shin Megami
Summoner.
Tensei.
What?
Shin Megami Tensei. I knew you were going to
What did I just say? All right, that's coming out for...
You didn't say that. That's what...
that's a game for Dan. That's coming out on 3DS and 3DSW. Injustice: The Gods Among Us, which is the DC Comics fighting game, coming out for the Xbox 360, the PS3. Special editions and collector's editions coming out for the... Well, the collector's edition is coming out for the PS3 and the Xbox 360, and the special edition coming out for the PS3. Pandora's Tower, another Dan game, coming out for the Wii. Sacred Citadel coming out for the PlayStation 3 Network and the Xbox Live Market. Dragon Fantasy coming out for PlayStation 3 Network and the PlayStation, what is that?
Vita.
For the Vita. That's another Dan game. Mad Dog 2 coming out for the PlayStation 3 Network. RPG Maker 2 coming out for the PlayStation 3 Network as well. What is that? That says a PS2 Classic. You ever played that one, Dan?
Yeah, you basically make RPGs. That's what you do in the RPG Maker series.
Oh, okay.
But it originally was
it's
released
true to its
for
name.
PlayStation. Yeah, it is.
Kirby's Adventure coming out for the Wii U. That's a road game. Witch and Hero coming out for the 3DS. Papo and Yo coming out for the PC. Don't know what that is. Super Little Acorns 3D Turbo. What? We Sing It UK Hits. That one's for Tom. It's coming out for the Wii. God
that was
Mode
for you.
coming out. No, it's for the Wii. It's UK Hits. UK Hits, Dan. Pay attention. God Mode coming out for the PC. What is that? That looks interesting. Let's click on that real quick. Filler. I can't even find any images. Okay. God damn it. See what happens? I went to the one page and I went back. All right. Anyway. Eodor, Masters of the Broken World, coming out for the PC. That's it. That's it for the game releases for this week.
It's more than last week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. But, a lot of stuff is coming out for the PlayStation 3 Network and all. It's kind of depressing.
I'm super happy about it.
Yeah. All right, so let's wrap up. Tom, unfortunately, had to bounce in the middle of the interview, so he's gone, but that's okay. If you want to learn more information about us, check us out at www.twoncamera.com or one of our many social sites, twitter.com/twoncamera, facebook.com/twoncamera, youtube.com/twoncameraent. Hate, rate, subscribe on iTunes and Stitcher. Please, thank you. And whatever else, go do that. Help us out. Give us a 5-star if you like us. Or tell us you hate us, tell us you don't, whatever. We obviously didn't get any gaming news today because we did the Embers of Caerus interview with Dave Belcher. Again, thank you, Dave, for coming on. We love talking to you, and they're friendly. They're friendly people, and I love that. What were you gonna
And
say,
we're
Dan?
drooling here. I mean, we're drooling all over this game.
Yes. Well, I need to get like a boing sound so that when we're doing like interviews like
Of
that,
course.
you know, you get because that's all it is the entire time Dave's telling you about the game. So we're trying to work out something with them to get a little more to help keep their exposure up and get more exposure for them. Let us know how we did with the live show because we really want to know. We want to know if you guys like this, if this is something that we should keep doing every weekend. Should we switch it to sometime during the week? What do you want us to do? You know, give us some ideas. We are talking about starting up another podcast. Rode and I are talking about going and streaming a game this afternoon. We'll see how that goes once we're done with this and I get everything edited and replaced and everything like that. I got to get some food in my stomach because I am starving right now. What am I missing? Oh, Torocast. No Torocast this week. JT is floating around here somewhere. I saw him. And they should have the next, maybe not this Monday, but the following Monday or whatever. The next Monday that they're
That's
supposed to
Monday
record.
next week.
Hey, relax. Derail Gamers is finally coming back. Torocast will be back next week. TSOcast, I didn't release next week's episode because I had some technical issues, but I got it fixed, and we're going to have that coming out probably today. What's That Movie podcast? Carl, as you can tell, is not here, but they pre-recorded the show, which is supposed to release on Tuesday. Did I miss anything?
All
As
the
always...
content that went.
Oh, contact for the. We'll get to that in a second. As always, thank you, and we are going to have new writers coming up to the site. If you're interested in working with our site, becoming a podcast, or any of that nonsense, let us know. Sam at twoncamera.com, Road at twoncamera.com, or Tom at twoncamera.com. Dan gets, if you send an email to Dan, he just forwards it off to us anyway because he's so busy right now. Dan, put the gun down. Put the gun down, Dan. I'm just looking at your picture. It makes me laugh. Content that hit the site this week. We had a couple reviews go up. One was Signal Ops that was written by our PR guy, actually. Jordan wrote that one up. And Dan wrote up an article for Evoland, which looks really cool. So I suggest that you go and check it out. What else do we
It's
have?
definitely worth the $10 price tag.
Yeah. Yes, it is. Ducey had the other articles for Embers of Caerus go up. I'm missing something.
Tales of Zilla.
The Tales of Zilla post. Zia.
Yes. Yes.
I'm
I wrote those there. One for the release date, which is August 6th, and one announcing the collector's edition.
Yeah. I guess I didn't miss anything. I guess that was it. So go check out any of that stuff. Go check out our website, read our articles, comment on our articles, comment on the shows because it's important that we get the comments and we know how we're doing and what's going on. Again, we didn't get to any news this week, so I apologize to that, but we'll get to that next week. At least we got to the interview with Dave Belcher.
We got to the important stuff.
Yeah, we got to the important stuff. So next week, look for hopefully an interview with Clee. I think we're going to pre-record that, so that'll be played over the air once we get it down. We're going to talk to them a little bit about the launch of Don't Starve, which is coming out on the 23rd. So, ladies and gentlemen,
Awesome.
That wraps it up for me and the rest of this team that couldn't make it on the show today, but that's okay. Thank you for listening. Thank you for joining us on the live show if you were able to make it. Like I said, don't forget our shows will now be on YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, and as well on our Twitch channel. So, ladies and gentlemen, have yourself an awesome, safe week, and we will talk to you all next week.
Have a good week, guys.
Take it easy, folks.
Bam. All right. So I'm just going to wrap this up since the show has stopped, but still broadcasting live. My God, look at all the people.
Hey, it's
Yeah.
awesome.
All of you
Ton of people
still there. Thank you for joining us. Seriously. We really appreciate it, and we would love to be able to get more and more people in here to kind of comment on the show, talk to us about gaming and whatever else we're planning on doing for that week. So, again, before I close out the broadcast, thank you. I cannot thank you guys enough for joining us, and I cannot thank Dave and Lee for hanging out with us today. So, thank you, everybody, and we will talk to you guys next week when we do another live show. See ya.
Have fun, guys.